thank you both for joining us today. This is such a relevant topic for us to discuss today. I know when I first contacted you, Asian hate crimes was on the rise, and the alarm bell was already ringing then, but with the Atlanta shooting with 6 Asian American women being shot and killed, and a crime wave has been rising across the nation against Asian Americans. This is such a timely topic.
Yes, this is when we planned this meeting, it was before the most recent rise in hate crimes against Asian American Pacific Islanders, so this couldn't actually be more relevant timing. And just really quickly, just for context so people know, Stop AAPI Hate .org is an organization that's been tracking this all throughout these last 14 months. And last year, as of December, there were about 2,900 reported hate crimes at that point on this site. And these are only the crimes that were reported. Since then, so meaning just these first 2.5 months of this year, there's been an additional 1,000 more added to that list. That shows you that over the course of this year, even as there's more hope in sight of where we're at right now in terms of the pandemic, the hate crimes have completely skyrocketed even since the beginning.
Let's start off with what is model minority myth?
The model minority myth is part of this problem. We were told in the 60s, according to a scientific study, that Asian Americans were the model minority. They went to school, they got jobs, they paid their taxes, they didn't have any problems, certainly not mental health problems. And so we were portrayed, not by ourselves, but by others, as the perfect citizens. And we believe that at the time, we have realized over the years that this was a way to divide communities of color. It was a way to answer, if you will, the Black community that was saying, we need fairness, we need equity, we need to be treated differently and better in order to succeed. And they were trying to pit Asian Americans against Black Americans. And we realize now that that is bogus. It is an attempt to divide us rather than bring us together.
And it seems like a way to divert the conversation away the inequity and injustice from two communities that being contrasting against each other. And it's oppressive to expect Asian Americans to conform to the image that seemingly ideal, but in fact it is oppressive and holding us down.
What is that ideal? They're quiet. They don't shout out. They don't report crimes and injustice against themselves and their communities. So we were stereotyped as the silent, obedient, model minority. And as a result, we are suffering as a community, right, Kathy?
Yes. And in fact, if you actually look at media patterns throughout the decades, you'll actually see that a lot of media sources, even when Asian Pacific Islander Americans were standing in solidarity in the 50s and 60s alongside with African Americans and Indigenous people and Latinx communities, those were actually underreported. And it was, again, to uphold this image that we don't speak out and up. And that has actually really hurt our solidarity efforts across racialized communities. And in relation to the events that happened yesterday in Atlanta, a lot of us Asian American Pacific Islander women have been talking about the fact that in the workplace, for instance, a lot of us, especially in light of last year, have not felt comfortable talking about the atrocities we've experienced because somehow it feels shallow in our work to support the Black Lives Matter movement. And yet these are voices that all need to be heard together because we can actually all support each other across racial lines. So a lot of the work we're actually encouraging right now is for communities of color to work together to really center the disparities that are happening all across for so many of us, and that our strength in numbers is actually going to be what can actually lead to true equitable change.